Welcome to another edition of the AsIs podcast. I am your host, Shabazz. How's everybody feeling today? Hopefully, this podcast finds you in the best mental, physical, and spiritual health. Hopefully, this podcast puts a smile on your face. Today's podcast is going to be like no other, simply because we are going to dig into ourselves. We are going to dig into the truth. We are going to dig deeper than your average, because this isn't your average podcast. Be mindful. We're dealing with people's emotions, their feelings, and their lives. So based on that, we have to deal with honesty. I see a lot of misinformation in the land, and I don't appreciate it. I am not going to target any individual or any organization. I am simply going to give you Shabazz's opinion. Be mindful that my words and my opinion is not law, but I have the right to speak. Understand that some of you may not like what I am about to say, but this is as is, not as you want it to be. So with that being said, I would like to take you through a mirage. I would like to take you back down memory lane. I want you to look, and I want you to feel or press, if there's such a thing, a refresher on your body. We're gonna start off nice and slow. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this ride. R.Kelly, better known as the R in R&B, is perhaps one of the most successful black musicians in the history of America. How could a man that had so much lose it all for something so little? This is the actual court footage from his 2008 trial. A trial where he was brought up on child pornography. And based on a lack of evidence and witnesses, he evaded those charges. 14 years later, here we are again. How could a man who had so much lose it all for something so little? These are the questions and suspicions that linger in our minds as well as in our hearts. But in order to find the answers, you have to dig deep. You have to be honest. And you have to ask yourself about the truth. Today, we're going to get into the truth. Do the visuals jar anything in your memory banks? You know, that footage is file footage from 2008. Can you remember your favorite song from 2008? Can you remember how old you were? Can you remember hearing about that case and where you were at when you heard it? You know, this case resembles in a lot of ways the OJ case, because there are so many people who were split and divided with emotions for a variety of reasons. I think overall in Black America, the reasons were simply because OJ was black. And for so long, people had seen the mistreatment and the abuse of black men and Black America. That was the undertone for OJ. Whether you believed he was guilty or not, it didn't matter. You just wanted him to win simply because he was black. If we're going to be honest, yo, let's get honest. If we're going to be real, let's get real, because I'm getting ready to get real. And a lot of you are not going to understand the realness. You're not going to understand when you are divided mentally within yourself. but you have to be true to yourself. And now let me tell you why I'm saying this, because that's kind of like a precursor or a build-up to the punchline. And the punchline is you cannot get away from the evidence. Now, for this section, I am going to start with the most current news. And the most current news is Rashonda getting cross-examined by Jennifer Bonjean. You know, now, I'm just going to keep it 100, yo. Don't take it personal. Jennifer Bonjean did a terrible job cross-examining that young lady. Now, let me tell you why. And before I tell you why, let me go back to something else that I have to talk about because it is heavy on my brain. You know, there are a lot of people discrediting one another. There are a lot of people saying I'm better than, I'm a bigger news YouTube blogger, newscaster. I've been in this fight since forever, and et cetera, et cetera. And all of that is irrelevant. To me, it is anyway. I could care if you go to court, if you don't go to court, who cares? Because what people are forgetting is that R.Kelly is on trial. You understand? Key words is R.Kelly is on trial, not Sparkle and not you. Shabazz's voice is nothing more than an opinion, just like everybody else's. There should be no relevance into how much weight I hold or you hold, because you're not on trial. We are not on trial. You dig? So I just wanted to get that out the way because I see, you know, a lot of sneaky shots and verbals and, you know, slide disses, you know, sneak disses on the low towards people back and forth from opposing, you know, groups and organizations. And I get it. But here's the point. What makes me say what I'm about to say doesn't look good. And I am going to talk about momentarily for one in particular person who stood out amongst the crowd and who was an avid R.Kelly supporter. And although I think that he's a supporter, you know, there's an undertone to that as well. And we're not going to discuss, you know, the relationship with R.Kelly or not. But that person in particular that I'm going to talk about right now was Levi. You know, Levi has been very quiet. You know, you went against DJ Tyson, and I am not defending DJ Tyson, but the reason why I am going to use you as a person of interest is because your mouth says some very strong things, but yet you have no defense to the accusations being made against R.Kelly. Now, dig, R.Kelly is being accused of sleeping with a 14-year-old. And I want you to understand, you know, where I'm going with this. Mistake number one, Jennifer Bonjean is questioning that young lady. And she's questioning that young lady from a perspective of a white person. Some of you are not going to agree with this, but I don't care. And here's why I don't care. Because when you have a certain mentality, a certain swag, a certain way of living, you have to be approached from that certain mentality and that certain swag, that certain way of living. If you have no knowledge of it, then you are going to look like a fool. Jennifer Bonjean, in my opinion, looks like a fool. You know, I'm past trying to be friends with anybody. I could care less what you think. You know, I am going to say what it is. You stood in front of a courtroom and you talked to a young lady who at this point does not have a care as to what you think. You have to understand. I want you to understand clearly. She, Rashonda, at this point has nothing to lose monetarily, but she has everything to lose as far as dignity, because she is going to be known as the person and the young lady who was on that tape. That is going to be stuck with her for the rest of her life. What she is facing can't compare to anything. Do you understand? So when you're asking a young lady under those conditions, the questions that you are asking her, and she is responding with the answers that she is giving you, in my opinion, those kind of people are telling you their truth. Who am I to attack you for your truth? That's your truth. And you see, what I find in this whole ordeal is that there are people who will take parts of what she says and run with it as law, as truth. But the other parts they disregard because they're running with how she threw Sparkle under the bus. Her words are powerful enough to throw Sparkle under the bus, but yet she's lying about sleeping with R.Kelly. You guys are hypocrites. I don't care who likes this. Like, I'm going to call a spade a spade. And the reason why I use Levi is because if you have an opinion or if you feel so strongly about one thing, that feeling should be thought all across the board. It cannot be selective. And this is the problem with our people. We are selective in who we like to criticize. We are selective with who we'd like to make guilty. We are selective with who we like and who we don't. And we are selective based on the argument at hand. An example, DJ Tyson is accused of sleeping with his children. He's scum, right? I'd agree with that if it's true. I'm not saying that DJ Tyson is guilty of anything. I'm not saying he's not. I am telling you the general mentality that I have towards the situation. So with that being said, if his children can come out and say what they said and everybody runs with it, right? You're doing that based on someone's testimony, based on their story. Am I not right? So how come when Rashonda says she slept with R. Kelly, she's a liar? How can everybody in this trial be attacked and said they are liars when it comes to R. Kelly? But if they tell another part of the story, then they're telling the truth. Because Sparkle was forced to come out publicly on her Twitter and respond to the accusations being levied against her. You know why? Because that girl is telling the truth. That girl is telling the truth about her being on Section 8. That girl is telling the truth about what happened all of those years ago. And let me tell you this, let me interject this real quickly. She is telling her truth. Her truth doesn't necessarily have to be Shabazz's truth. It doesn't have to be Levi's truth. It doesn't have to be anyone else's truth. And I am really not doing this to try to come at Levi, but I wanted to use something that everybody knows of because he's been such a staunch supporter and advocate of R. Kelly. He's such a staunch supporter and advocate of people molesting children. But your cousin is accused of that. There is court testimony written down on paper based on what she said. If that is not enough to make you sway in how you view things, I don't know what is. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you stand that strong and you believe that firmly about DJ Tyson, then what is the difference between DJ Tyson and R. Kelly? Because both have people who've come out and levied accusations against them. These are the things that we're not seeing. What is the difference between Rashonda Landfair's testimony about sleeping with R. Kelly and then her testimony about what she said Sparkle made her do? Sit on his lap and have him rub her head or ask for him to be your godfather. Which Rashonda do you believe? And it's always based on your personal feelings. You dig? I have a problem with that. Now, I am still in the position, I'm not for R. Kelly or against him. I am for the treatment of how the case is going. And here's what I oppose. And here's what I think Jennifer Bonjean should have done. Instead of questioning her the way that you questioned her, a better question should have been, why are you actually testifying and harped on it? Asking that one time and then leaving to go into something else is nothing more than a deflection. And here's where and why it hurts R. Kelly. Because as I said, when I had a verbal altercation with Levi and with other people, and I said to you, I'm not the person to play with, dog. And the reason why is because I got tapes. Like you're going to see within what you've already seen. Yo, I can go back. Yo, let me tell you something. When I get into a job, I get into the job and I do my due diligence all around the board. For every accusation that you can levy against Shabazz, I can go and pull out a file or a tape to counter it. Do you understand? And at the end of the day, when you do something like that, the only person that is going to be hurt is R. Kelly. Do you understand? And this is why Jennifer Bonjean is stupid for sitting down and questioning her the way that she did, because all it did was cast doubt on R.Kelly. At the end of the day, there has to be a point of logic, a point of truth, or a point of common sense that says, I know what she's going to say, so let me attack her from a different angle. Because you cannot change that person's story. And if you start to attack that person, then you are just attacking people based on your own personal beliefs. And you can't do that. And let me defend myself, because people are going to say, Shabazz, you play both sides of the fence. Let me tell you how stupid that sounds to me. What is a court of law? A court of law is an open forum. It is a public place where people on both opposing sides sit down to present their evidence. You understand? All I've taken was the position of being a court of law by allowing both parties to present their evidence. So if I'm playing both sides, what does the courtroom do? If you don't like my voice, how can you even begin to like a court's voice? Because they do more than just what I do. They render verdicts and decisions playing both sides, because this is the only way you can get to the bottom of it. There are going to be parts of this story that I don't like. There are going to be parts of this story that I don't agree with. However, I cannot just turn my back to those parts of the stories and ignore them and then decide that I'm going to take a side. So therefore, I have to attack how it's being presented and the way it's being done, and make sure it's being played within the parameters of fair, being played in accordance to the rules. This is how journalism is supposed to go. When you are left or right and you're extremely on either side, you're biased and you're never going to get the truth. And you know what? I'm going to hit you with the punchline now. Jennifer Bonjean should have just accepted the fact of Rashonda Landfair's truth and said, I'm not going to fight you over your story, because her story is her story. And what makes it even worse, and this is where it becomes racial to me, is you're dealing with a black girl who has absolutely nothing to lose. She doesn't have anything monetary wise. She, by doing what she's doing, is actually putting herself as the poster child for the horrendous acts that she's accusing R.Kelly of. Nobody wants to walk around with that label on their back. So you got to think to yourself, if this girl is willing to come up here and sit and tell her story and go through all of the turmoil that she's about to go to, let me not even go that way. So you know what a better way is? And if you do your damn homework, because you haven't done your homework, you have to wonder why she's doing it. And this is purely speculation and opinion. She's done it because there was a payoff, because her mama opened up a shoe store. The shoe store is in Chicago. It was between 45th and 46th Streets on Cottage Grove. There are records there. There are names there. Jennifer Bonjean did not do her homework to find that out. And you want me to tell you why? I'll tell you why. Because regardless to whatever anyone feels, once she finds out the truth, what does that truth do? It only makes what? R.Kelly look bad. Bottom line. This is why it is very dangerous for the opinions that are floating around on YouTube to be investigated, be put under a microscope. And a lot of you don't really want to do that. You want me to tell you why? Because it's going to come back and make what? R. Kelly look bad. So when you're really in this fight and you're really doing your due diligence, you have to say to yourself, I am going to fight for what's right, even if he's guilty. And there are going to be some things that are so questionable, that are so obvious, that I have to accept the fact that he's guilty on, certain aspects of whatever's being said. You can't get away from that. But when you continue to try to fight against something that is right there in your face, if you take the mentality of a Levi, or if you take the mentality of some pro R. Kelly people and you attack everyone that gets there, all you are going to do is get that man more time. You want me to tell you why? I'm going to tell you why. Karma. You want me to tell you Levi's karma right now? And people are not going to understand this. And again, I'm just using him because he is the most vocal and he was the one that we have to protect our children. Well, what about Rashonda Landfair? What about the other little girls that needed protection? Because they're saying that R.Kelly slept with them and they doubled down on it. Haven't they? Because you've heard their testimony. You can read their court transcripts. So based on that, why not have the same mentality as, well, when DJ Tyson's daughter said he raped them or he did whatever, you went with that. So what's wrong with going with the other way? At the end of the day, the best fight is to say, you know what? Let me just and I'm going to give you an analogy. All right? If you have a child and your child has been arrested for shoplifting 100 times, you know that he's been charged 100 times because you went to court and 9 times out of 10, you bailed him out. You've seen the evidence against him. Now it's time 101. And instead of knowing in your heart that my son has been accused 100 times of the same things over the last 5 years, instead of listening to what the new charge from the 101th time is saying to you, you're going to fight and say, my son doesn't steal. You're lying. You have to accept the fact that your son steals. So when you fight and you listen on the 101th time, the smart thing to do is to find a medium to get him the least amount of time and accept the fact that he is a thief. Because fighting is only going to make them fight back. And then what happens sometimes is you get a hero. You know who a hero is? Somebody who's going to dig into that boy's records and find out he's been arrested or accused of the same shit 100 times. And when that evidence comes out, boom, he's done. That's why a lawyer tells you, tell me the truth. Or better yet, that's why I tell my children, and as a parent, you should tell your children, you can lie to the judge. You can lie to your mama, but tell me the truth. I want to be able to fight for you for real, for real. Don't have me somewhere standing up here looking stupid and get sideswiped when they come with something I had no knowledge about because you didn't tell me. And I think once you tell me, I know how to approach it. Now you have option A, to approach it as if you didn't know. Option B, to approach it as if you do know. Option C, disregard those options and just fight based on what you feel like where you come from. And that's a wrong move because having an offense or being accused of something coming from a white neighborhood as opposed to a black neighborhood is entirely different. Or you can have option D, you know the truth, yet you don't do your job and you lie. Jennifer Bonjean should have had the information of that store in question. She didn't do her homework. And now, what would that have proved? It may not have taken away the cloud of R. Kelly sleeping with that girl, but it would have showed the reason why the government, or now I'm not even going to say the government, I'm going to say the authorities were after R. Kelly, and shows you just how bad they wanted him and they were willing to do anything dirty just to get him. That within itself would at least guarantee him a fair trial for an appeal. Because the decision is biased. They played dirty to get him. I guarantee you $1 to a donut. Prosecution knows about the money that the parents took, the same way they know about the trips to Barbados. They know all of that. It's obvious to me Jennifer Bonjean doesn't. And if she did, she's dumb because she didn't use it to her benefit. What she did was she's trying to attack something that she's never going to be able to attack. And I am just going to be 100% honest. You're never going to erase the accusations that have been being said about R. Kelly for 30 years. It's just not going to happen. It's just not. You can love R. Kelly all day. You can make all the defense that you want. But since you've known R. Kelly, there's always been an undertone of him sleeping with little girls. That's what he likes. That's what's alleged. Doesn't make it true, but that's what's alleged. So how are you going to fight about rumors that you've been hearing since you was pissing in your diapers? Now, you're going to come up and say all of that, I don't care, is not true, and you're hearing it time after time after time again. At the end of the day, you know what my core tells me? Accept the fact that that man has a problem. Like him for his music. That's the only way. Because doing it this way, you're going to lose. I see R. Kelly losing this trial horribly. One of the reasons why I see it being done horribly is because there's also another hidden agenda. And the hidden agenda was he got away with whatever was being accused the first time. And let me tell you something about white folks. They have long memories like elephants. And if you get away one time, they're just going to wait. They're going to give you the rope and wait until you come around again, and they're going to serve you. And that's why I said earlier, it's so reminiscent of OJ, because his dumb ass didn't listen to that. He thought he too was invincible. And here's another thing that you guys are not looking at. Prior to all of this happening, whether you want to accept it and believe it or not, there was a plea bargain made. It was an offer made to R. Kelly for 10 years. He refused it. So now you're smacking the government back and forth in the face. As a black man in America, how many goddamn times do you think they are going to allow you to do that before they get tired and finally hang your ass? You beat the first trial. You beat a lot of the accusations by paying women off. Like, how many times do you think you're going to keep getting away with it before they say enough is enough and they're going to play dirty? And you can't beat them. Dog, you can't. So, those who are in support of R. Kelly can sit there and say all you want to. But at the end of the day, R. Kelly's situation is R. Kelly's situation because R. Kelly did it to himself. R. Kelly didn't have to be sitting up right now with 30 years. He could have took 10. New York perhaps might have followed suit because the 10-year deal offer was done in Chicago. They could have used that as leverage to take to New York and ask that they ran it in accordance with that. But because of his arrogance, because he believed he could fly, he ain't take it. Now look. That's just the truth, dog. Like, those, they're going to be people who are going to be mad at me for saying what I'm saying. But yo, dog, listen to me. You have to be honest with yourself. I can't run around here, man, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not running around here, saying I'm Muslim, and I'm not running around here as a man, and I'm just going to hide the truth. Yo, you have to be, at some point, you have to accept what it is for what it is, man. That's the bottom line. To do anything else, you're a fraud. I can't do that. Will that take away me wanting to help R. Kelly? It does not. Let me repeat that again. I still intend to help that man as much as I can, but I got to look at the truth as being the truth. And if I take the mentality, again, of a Levi, or I take the mentality of those who are pro R. Kelly and attack and say everybody who's come up so far is lying, and I take the mentality of I'm going to use some of the accuser's stories that go against other people but disregard what goes against R. Kelly, I ain't shit. I would rather lose those for a follower, those for a listener, to be good within myself, yo. At some point, you got to say, yo, you know what? I got to accept the truth for what it is. You can't keep running around saying, no, she's lying. This didn't happen. And like a lot of y'all that I'm hearing saying the shit that y'all saying, y'all not even accurate because y'all talk about something that happened 20 years ago. It's 2022. The trial happened in 2008. That's 14 years ago. And it is very important as a journalist or as a blogger to be accurate within your dates. So I say that to counter when people say, well, she doesn't remember when she was 14, 15, or 16. Half you niggas don't remember the exact date of the trial. So you see what I'm saying? Like, on one hand, it's good for us to use things in attack mode. But on the other hand, it isn't. That's not right, yo. If I am going to fight for anybody, dig, I have to be non-biased all across the board. I have to accept the things that I don't even like with people I don't like, just for the sake of being fair and honest. The moment you slant or tilt either way, you're no longer fair and you're no longer honest. And you know what you are? You should be in the same boat with R. Kelly and all of his accusers. Because in my opinion, I do not know if those stories actually happen to the extreme of what the people are saying, but I believe there is some truth in some of those stories. And as far as I'm concerned, it was, there's an old saying, one was got who was got many. R. Kelly knew who he was. Them girls knew who he was. It was a matter of who could get who first. That doesn't mean I'm saying that he beat up anybody, that he did any of the things that he's saying, but it was definitely, I'm R. Kelly. And it was definitely, I'm Hot Mama. So Hot Mama had something to offer to R. Kelly. And R. Kelly, as a man and a woman, let's take away from R. Kelly. As a man, your intention when you meet a young lady is to eventually sleep with her. You might go about it by different ways. Some might wine you and dine you. Some might take you here or there. Some might try to talk you out of it. But the ultimate hidden agenda is to sleep with you. You dig? So what makes the different scenario in R. Kelly and these girls? Now, let's go and keep it real. The women, some of them might have the intention to sleep with the man. So they know how to do it. They're going to show their titties or show their ass or do something seductive because they want the D. That's natural. You can sit down and try to deny it all you want. But it don't make a damn difference because at the end of the day, it is what it is. And you know what? I'll give you another one. This is definitely double jeopardy because I'm going to take you now into a file tape of the first trial with the same young lady who refused to testify. And there was another player, Lisa Van Allen. And Lisa Van Allen was definitely a player because somewhere along the line, she got a tape or whatever, like they said with Sparkle, who was the one who released the tapes, and she gave them to another dude who was in Kansas City. Yo, this shit trial is a soap opera that goes on and on and on. You want me to tell you why? Because you were dealing in a pit of snakes. And you want me to tell you another thing? R. Kelly made the decision to be the pit to be the pit master. Everybody in the situation had a hidden agenda, be it whether it was for monetary gain or for a nut, because they were all willing participants and players. You can't just keep saying all these people are lying. A lot of them are dirty. I will agree with that 100%. A lot of them played with tactics that are definitely questionable. The parents as well. But at the end of the day, look who they was playing with. Does that make me not like R. Kelly? No, but it just, you have to tell the truth, dog. You got to. You only ain't trying to tell the truth. And then you have those who sit down and you keep congratulating Jennifer Bonjean. Jennifer Bonjean does not belong in the courtroom questioning black people like that. She needs to have an assistant or someone who can translate the mentality to her so she can know what she's dealing with. Jennifer Bonjean is dealing from a white feminine perspective. And you want me to tell you why I say that? Because the moment that girl talked about Section 8, Jennifer Bonjean should have reversed her entire process. Because now you dealing with a mentality. I'm going to just tell the truth. Fuck it. If I look bad, I'm just going to look bad. People going to deal with me however they going to deal with me. When you get a person who's willing to come with that kind of honesty, you got a problem. Because she not only going to throw R. Kelly under the bus, as you see, she threw her aunt under the bus, she threw Sparkle under the bus, and you can't sit down and attack a person like that and say this person is lying because she has to live with that shit. Yo, having a bullet on your back like that come from the R. Kelly saga is a lifetime bullet. There's no escaping that. When you're willing to go against the odds and have that speaks volumes to me. Y'all know that. Y'all just don't want to see the truth. And I'm not trying to persuade you to not defend R. Kelly. Not at all. If you're pro R. Kelly, continue to be pro R. Kelly, but also be pro I am going to tell the goddamn truth. Y'all ain't trying to do that. And I really know people are going to be mad at Shabazz. I've sent Jennifer Bonjean a Twitter, and I told her the damn same thing I just said. And you know what? Because I think she's so arrogant, or because she's so lily white and dumbified, she's not going to investigate it. And you want me to tell you why she's not going to investigate it? Because from a legal perspective, if she investigates it and finds out what I'm saying is true, and finds deeds or rental receipts with the Landfair name on it, or a name that's associated with that family, all that does is say R.Kelly was really guilty because he paid the family off, and she doesn't want to do that. But where she falls and fails is the prosecution, I guarantee you, has already done it. And this is how they made Rashonda testify, because she has to save somebody. And 9 times out of 10, that is her mama. Because now, if the mama took money as a result of the actions, that is an admission to guilt. And that is also acting in concert, because you are just as bad as the participants on that goddamn tape, as they say about whoever else. And you want me to tell you why you're just as bad? Because you took the money. Like, at the end of the day, if you're so for justice and what R. Kelly did was so wrong, you don't take money for that shit. That's another reason why a lot of these girls are discredited, because prior to them coming out, they all took the money. You can't take the money and then turn around and scream foul, because now you foul, because you're foul within the foul. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog, either you're going to accept this money and keep your mouth shut, and you got to be mindful, you might run out and spend it all, but you can't come back and now tell. That's the purpose of paying someone off. What they did was either tried to extort or blackmail that man as a result of what they did. But what that also says to me is you always knew it was wrong, and you just used the wrong to capitalize on. You used the wrong to benefit, because now this was your ace in the hole. I know what I'm doing is wrong, and I'm going to go ahead and do it so I can get this ace in the hole, so I can come back later and use it to blackmail him. That's why a lot of the young ladies are being discredited. When you find one victim, and understand what I'm saying, who did not take any money and went to the authorities, that's what I will wholeheartedly believe from top to bottom. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to disregard all of the other stories, because that's their story. Y'all got some mental growing up to do. Come to Shabazz. I'm cool with it. You understand? Like, and I'm going to keep thinking the way I think, because I have to. Yo, dog, I own a media company. I can't go and befriend one person and just take that person's side for law and not do my due diligence to find out how accurate it is. I don't work like that. Like, when I get in something, I get in something. And that's why I warned Levi earlier, like, dog, coming at me is not really good, because I don't have a way to come back at you, because you've never been a person of interest to me. Your so-called cousin was a person of interest to me. So when you say something to me and I say something back, I am going to say it based off of the information that I have. And when I do that, the only person to lose really is R. Kelly, not you. Because Levi is not losing right now by going after DJ Tyson. Levi is not losing right now with Rashonda saying she was 14, 15, or 16 sleeping with R. Kelly, because any of those numbers still means a minor. So I want to just see how he plays it and how others play it to say, messing with children is wrong. If you're going to go after those people, don't defend R. Kelly, dog. Like, the pride in him being your cousin, where is that shit at now? Because now you have, Tyson had, a daughter or two come after him. R. Kelly got 20 women coming after him. But you're adamant and steadfast, and you're going to preach your sermon and come up with your little Hennessy and your chaser, your alcohol, and think you smart enough to talk people into the Levi mentality. And all of that, not just for you, Levi, is bullshit, because a lot of y'all are brainwashed into bullshit, and that's what's wrong with us as black people overall. We do not have enough thinkers. You have to think. But I'm going to show you something. I'm going to give you something to help you think. I'm going to let you check out an official, at the time of, news clip. And be mindful, I'm going to tell you again, I don't care about who comes at me for telling the truth. This does not mean I am not going to help to defend R. Kelly, but I'm not going against the truth, dog. Like, I'm going to go after how that man is treated regardless to what he's done, because that is the way it's supposed to be done. But be mindful, again, what I really want to tell you is, my file cabinet, my stock of this entire thing goes way back, son. You go, and I'm not telling nobody not to come after me, but when you do it, here's what I'm saying to you. I don't want you to make the same mistake that Jennifer Bonjean is making, because Jennifer Bonjean is making stupid ass mistakes because she's going after something that could be countered. And you want me to tell you what? If she pushes too hard, which she should really push too hard, then you can expose what the government knows and how they used it as blackmail to try to make your client guilty. Because dummy, if I got the information, what make you think them white folks you in court with don't got the information? And why are you so stupid to not listen? I hope somebody send her a clip of it, because I really don't give a fuck how you feel. You dig? That's somebody's life. You're banking on getting an appeal. You can't bank on getting no appeal with a man that has a sexual charge and being a pedophile and raping a little 14-year-old girl being in jail, because the nigga might get locked up on Monday and be dead on Wednesday. That is a serious charge. An appeal process might take 3 to 5 years. There's no guarantee that he's going to be here for 3 to 5 years. Stupid. Is it personal? It is personal. And let me tell you why it's personal, because I'm black. And that's what y'all be doing to black men in court. You be gambling with bullshit. And you ain't got to sit up and sit in them goddamn cells and go through the shit that niggas got to go through, because you going to take your lily white ass back the fuck home. That's just what it is for me. And I don't give a fuck which one of you niggas like it or you don't. But I'm going to go into this clip right now and chill for a second.
Cash before engaging in acts of intercourse, oral sex, and urination with a man prosecutors say is R. Kelly. Jury consultant Bill Healy says the importance of her absence cannot be underestimated.
That will be something that the defense will harp on in closing. That is something that the defense can essentially say, if there's anything that should cause you reasonable doubt, it is that.
The state's rebuttal is slated for tomorrow, and prosecutors say they'll call 2 witnesses. One is FBI forensic video analyst Grant Fredericks, a man the court has heard from before. He testified to the ability to spot a mole on the back of the man in the sex tape, a mole of the same size and shape as police photos show on the back of the defendant. However, the defense called an expert of their own who said the mole was simply undetectable.
What they're talking about is what is or is not present in a video. And the jurors get to see that video. So it's not, they're not talking about something in the abstract. The jurors will look at it themselves and make their own determination whether it's there.
You clearly heard what he said. They're going to make their own determination based on what they've seen. And what did we just see? What was shown to those jurors? That tape. Now, you guys, that are pro R. Kelly are saying, was the tape altered? And that is a fair question. But now let's go back into our mind. Let's go back into our time. Okay. How many people have actually seen that tape? Of course, there are going to be those who say they don't look at child porn, but I'm going to be on some real nigga shit with this one. That tape was being sold in Harold's Chicken parking lot all over Chicago when it came out. And everybody named Mama was buying that tape for one reason, because it had R. Kelly on it, or at least that's what it was thought to be. And the majority of people agreed that it was R. Kelly. What was lost was determining it in court. However, that's not the question or what I am trying to say. What I am trying to say is everybody named Mama seen that goddamn tape, and they only wanted to see because they wanted to see R. Kelly. Simple as that. I talked to a young lady not too long ago, and one of the things she said the interest with R. Kelly was women, even the old ones, and this person is around women all of the time. are amazed with his man size, with his private parts. You know, and because of that, this is why everybody is so amazed with it. It's kind of similar to, you know, what's the white guy's name that's with Kim Kardashian that just split up with him? He's rumored to be, you know, black man size, if that's the way you want to say it. And white women are fascinated with it. So the reason why Kim Kardashian got with him is because, you know, he was a white man with a black penis. And so this is why, if you think about it, dude has been with some of the top, you know, white women in America, period. Every time you turn around, you know, he had a white girl that was the it girl on his arm, but they never last. So according to women, Pete Davidson, the reason why that's done is because they just have a sexual fantasy and they want to see if the rumors are true. Once they find out the rumors are true, the relationships dissolve. You might be sexual motive, but you ain't husband material, because sex just don't make a marriage. It might help, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. So once you get over the initial thrill and fantasy of it, there is no more. That is one of the reasons and what pushed the R.Kelly sex tape in the hood. Now, what do I say and why do I say all this? It's double jeopardy, dog. It's double jeopardy. It's a clear double jeopardy, because the same thing that is happening right now, as you see, happened in the trial in 2008. It's double jeopardy. But then, as you see, Rashonda didn't want to testify back then. You dig? But you know what? Let me give you another clip, because I'm going to show you some historian type R. Kelly investigation. Not your fucking mouth. Not the blogger bullshit. And I'm a blogger too, so I could be full of shit as well. But the difference between me and the average blogger is what I keep telling you guys, that you always seem to forget. Yo, I could pull out a motherfucking tape quicker than a cat can lick his ass and prove what I'm saying based on the footage. You don't believe me? Watch.
The state is also expected to call a district attorney from Georgia. He'll take the stand to say there was no deal made with star witness Lisa Van Allen in exchange for her testimony, in which she told of three-way sexual encounters with both R. Kelly and the alleged victim. She came forward about a month after a police raid on her fiance's home resulted in drugs, an AK-47, and ammunition. That fiance, Ewell Brown, is a convicted felon but received only probation for the most recent charges. Healy says jurors can and will look past all of that if other evidence bolsters her claims.
You see how the story is going? It's an exact replica of what happened in 2008. And the players and the people will start to become soap opera-ish. Soap opera-ish. But check it. It's not a funny situation. But what I am showing you this for is to show you how many people are involved and what to expect next. Because what will also happen as a result of the Lisa Van Allen situation, there was another young man who was brought in who they accused of actually giving the tape that Rashonda was on. And his name is Keith Casino Morrell. And he's a resident of Kansas City. And he was a part of a group that R. Kelly managed. It's said or alleged that he had something to do with it, and he knows the truth. This person may also be brought in to testify, and they're going to turn. Now, dig, let's just say for the sake of argument, Shabazz is full of shit, right? I'll accept that. Let's say for the sake of argument, Shabazz don't know what the fuck he talking about. Cool. I'll accept that too. But dig, look at the evidence that I'm showing you and presenting you. Even... And hear me close, hear me, well, what I say, hear me. Just as a person, to have the information that I have, which is accessible to anyone, you should look into it. Jennifer, you need to be prepared. And you know why you need to be prepared? Because the state is going to come with so much shit that it is just not going to be funny. And this will continue to remain a case that was built and based on soap opera bullshit. However, it is not going to negate the fact or take away the main character, and that's R. Kelly. Does not common sense sit well with you? Because this is a different type of a ball game. You're not trying to get somebody's freedom granted after they've been wrongfully incarcerated for 20 years and get them a check for $20 million so you can get your 33 1/3. This is trying to prevent a man from going to jail for the rest of his life and ensuring that the trial is being handled properly. So you have to do and make a metamorphosis, transition yourself into a different way of thinking. And guess what? The little nigga named Shabazz who don't know nobody, the little nigga named Shabazz whose train thought it could and it couldn't, is the little nigga that would be strong enough to present this argument in front of them white folks and make them think, because all you need is one juror to cast a shadow of doubt and it's a mistrial. But you can't tell nobody like you nothing. You can't tell the pro R.Kelly side not a goddamn thing. You just can't. Because we as black people, when we get something in our minds, that's just what it is. And it's not just a black problem because it's white people. It's a human problem. You believe what you believe and there's nothing is going to change it. I get it. But sometimes, just being real, sometimes you gotta stop and you gotta think. Like, damn, is what I'm thinking and what I'm doing right? You understand? You have to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right? You have to dig deep into yourself and wonder, is it right? And that is where I have my problem. And this is why I'm saying what I'm saying, because it doesn't sit well with the inside of me. I don't feel right about pretending and overlooking and attacking when the main subject is the subject I should be focused on, because everything else is deflecting. Everything else is making you look to the left. Meanwhile, the right is what's going on. That's how people rob you. They have someone to get your attention to look over here, and while you're looking over there, they're in your pockets. It's the oldest trick in the book. But sometimes that shit don't work, son. Yo, when you are aware, you are aware. When you're honest, you have to be honest with yourself. And let me tell you one of the best things that jail did for me. It made me honest, dog. The time will make you sit in that goddamn cell. I don't care if you play the yard every day, if you go to the mess hall every day, if you hang out as much as you can away from that cell. At least 10 hours out of that day, you are going to be in that cell, and it better be productive. I use my time productively, and I applied what I learned from in there in my darkest days, in my turmoil, and I applied it to today. Let me tell you something, yo, for real, pain can get you through a lot of shit. Like, pain is preparation sometimes, and you have to think about it like that. I gave you guys, a podcast before asking, can you get bad from good or good from bad, whichever way? And the answer to that is yes. You just have to be willing to open your eyes and open your mind to see it. You got to approach shit from a different light, dog. When you approach shit from a different light, it's a different fight. You're on a higher plane. And that is something that is a blessing from God. You dig? And that's what I be trying to tell y'all. Yo, I don't got time for feelings and emotions. There ain't no time in that with the truth. The truth is the truth, son. The truth is what a lie hates. And a lie will fight with every available option to discredit the truth. But when you stand firm in your truth, can't be beat. What I've seen in this trial so far is someone sit on a stand and stand firm in their truth. There ain't no quick talking that. There ain't no slick talking that. There ain't no cross-examining the facts, dog. Yo, it's just not. Yo, let me tell you the people that could break down a nigga and break down his truth. A nigga mama. If you're lucky or fortunate, a nigga daddy. Like, you can't run up into your mama and beat her in the head with all that bullshit, because she gonna tell you what it is. And if you had a mama like I had a mama, that would be the last person you would want to talk to, because you know mama gonna break the shit down and you ain't want to hear that shit. And why? Because it's the fucking truth. And when you calm down and you think about it, you come back around and you respect and understand your mama, and you're grateful for her telling you the truth, because sometimes that's what you need, dog. I need that. Like, sometimes, you know, I get into beefs with women, and I'm talking about in relationships. And sometimes I don't like the shit that they say, but at the end of the day, sometimes I sit back and I can respect them for it, because in all honesty, a nigga need that. Like, it just is what it is. You know, iron sharpens iron. A mental sharpens a mental. You know, you got somebody standing in front of you and telling you what it is. You might get mad. You might be aggressive. You might get violent. You know, people handle it different ways. But at the end of the day, when it's all over, when you sit back and you think, or if you be on a long drive, or you be sitting somewhere by yourself and you just be into you realize, damn, Shorty was right. But it takes a man to go back to Shorty and tell Shorty, yo, Shorty, you know what? I'm sorry. You right. And sometimes you don't even have to go back to Shorty and tell Shorty that she right. You just, as a man, know, yo, damn, she was right. Let me fix that. Let me correct that. If you're not willing to do that, you're going to always be ain't shit. That's just what it is. And a lot of y'all niggas is going to be mad at Shabazz or say whatever and I don't give a fuck. I don't know you niggas. You don't know me. And if what I say hits a chord, so be it. Allah granted that. God granted that. And I said this was going to be a sermon. Nigga, I'm not telling you no motherfucking sermon. I'm going to just tell you what the fuck it is. That's just what it is. I don't like when my mama could stand me up and break me the fuck down. I don't give a fuck how much money I thought I was making. I don't give a fuck how many girls I had, how many kids I had, what kind of house I lived in. That ain't mean a goddamn thing, because my mama knew me to the fucking core. She could break me down. So sometimes I became adapted so much that, damn, I need to talk to my mama. And when you don't have that, this is why I don't understand why niggas don't have relationships with their parents, or they don't have respect for their parents. Because, nigga, you need somebody to be able to break you down. And what happens with men is sometimes they turn mama into their woman. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad. But if you can find a mate who can sit you down and tell you what it is, you may not like them for that, but it's for the betterment of you. You dig? And you take those life lessons and you apply it accordingly, all across the board. It cannot be selective. As long as you allow selectivity, we're going to continue to have cases like R.Kelly. Because if there was anyone around who was strong enough to verbally break him down in his face, although I'm sure he would have pushed him away, it would have stayed with him. And sometimes you could break a nigga down so bad and so good that whether they see you or not, what you said sticks in their motherfucking head. You dig? Yo, it's about each one teach one. And until each one of us decide to start teaching, we not gonna learn, yo. This is the responsibility of a man, and I am a black man, and my interest is not niggas, to be totally honest, it's females, because I'm always going to have, you know, an argument with a nigga, because the nigga gonna think he know more than me, he been around, and you may do. But if we can exchange ideas and conversation, we can learn from one another. But it's always a pissing contest. Who got the biggest dick? Who fucked the most women? How much money you got? What kind of car you drive? Nigga, R.Kelly had $750 million motherfucking dollars. You dig? R.Kelly done been all over the motherfucking world. He had the opportunity to fuck anything he wanted to. But where his ass at now? So did all of that really matter? What really mattered was somebody sitting him down and breaking it down to him the way I'm breaking it down right now. And what's important to me sometimes is finding somebody who could break me down so I can understand myself. Because you have to remember, sometimes people can see things in you that you do not see in yourself. And when you find that kind of person, you need to stay with that, dog. That's just real nigga shit. That's not a slight. That's not a punch to anybody. It's just what it is. And I always tell you guys, yo, this microphone is a reflection of what's inside. And let me tell you another thing. My truth with you doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the truth with someone else. And what that means is what I show you today, I might show Brenda Shabazz today. And that's Shabazz. And then tomorrow, I might show Diane Shabazz, Shabaz. But the core is still me. I showed one girl the 2 Z's of me and the other 1. But it was the core. And the reason why one got the 2 Z's and one got the 1 Z is because the girl that got the 2 Z's was understanding enough to know that what I was saying was sincere. And although she may be mad at me, she can understand. That, my friend, is a mate. That's how it goes in life. Mate doesn't always come monetary, with money, and he has to have this and he has to have that. If any nigga, and understand me, or any woman doesn't elevate you and uplift your mentality, fuck them. Because a broke nigga can go and get a bunch of money and be broke again tomorrow. But when you elevate it, dog, you could take that dollar and stretch it for a week. And don't tell me you can't. You want me to tell you why? Because college kids do it every day. I remember when oodles of noodles was $4 for $1. That's 4 days of eating, even if you eat one time a goddamn day. And you did it with $1. But a dumb motherfucker's gonna run out and go buy $1 worth of ham and enjoy the meal for one day and now be fucked up for the next 3 days. That's why no matter how much money I've ever gotten or get, there are basics that stay in my house. Potatoes, rice, and bread. And I know that shit sounds mad corny, but I learned that from my mama. And she told me, boy, no matter what, you make sure you have those items in your house. Because you can always boil some potatoes, nigga. You can always boil a pot of rice. And don't think that that's so yucky, because you know what? There's a million motherfucking Chinese who would tell you rice is good. $1.99. And no disrespect to them Chinese. I ain't really never seen a fat motherfucking Chinese, but they nevertheless are still around. And that's all that's important. You dig? Yo, I don't want to exceed. I just wanted to give you something to think about, and I can go on, and I will eagerly await to hear what you guys got to say, you know, and I want you to understand, this wasn't an attack on anyone, although I said, you know, Levi's name. Levi, I'm not really attacking you. I do not like your methods. I do not like the way you get down. I do not like the way you attack situations, but I wanted to show you something, and I use you as a person, as an example, so other people could see, and perhaps maybe you could look inside yourself and take away the ego, take away the arrogance, and think about what a nigga said. You dig? Because that's what it's about. It ain't about none of that other bullshit for me, because at the end of the day, it don't really matter. We not neighbors, nigga. We gotta be friends. But the one common denominator that I share with him, that I share with the rest of you, and who is important to me, are black people. I'm sorry, that's just what it is for me. If I can't contribute to my people, then I ain't shit. As a man, as a father, if I can't contribute to uplifting and educating my own children, then you, my nigga, ain't shit. Bottom line. I done said too much, yo. But that's my little sermon, you dig? So until the next time, holla at your boy. Do me a favor, yo. On some real nigga shit, just think about what I said. I don't give a fuck if you like it or you don't. At least give yourself a chance to hear somebody else outside of the bullshit you be listening to. With that being said, Have a nice day.